Hello, I wanted to talk with you a little bit about disenfranchised grief, which is what we're going to be focusing on for this week of the grief class. You have a discussion group, you have some articles and information to read, but I wanted to talk about something that is not included in those, but still is a special consideration in the grieving process and thus, in a way, becomes disenfranchised. This has to do with the fact that we can look at ourselves and other human beings as being multifaceted, sort of like the Russian nesting dolls, where there's a smaller one inside and a smaller one inside, etc. So when I meet a client, I always think of them in that um, multifaceted way. They may appear to be 50 years old, but they're also 5 years old and 3 and 16 and 19, and so am I, and so is everyone else. So it's not a pathological condition, far from it. It's a normal state of being. So when we connect with someone in a primary relationship, we connect in many different ways. But one of the ways that we connect is that if it's a healthy, balanced, strong relationship, the little boy, I'm going to use a male and female couple example. This is not really about gender, it's about energy, but just for ease of discussion. The little boy in the male can feel very nurtured and very loved and comforted by the balanced, correct expression of feminine energy, maternal energy from his female partner. The little girl in her can feel safe and protected in the presence of the balanced and healthy manifestation of protective male energy from from him. If that's the only way they relate, we have a problem. But if it is simply one of the pieces of the fabric that hold them together, it can be a strengthening aspect to the relationship. When that relationship ends through breaking up, divorce, death, etc., we have to recognize that it's not just the adult client sitting in front of you who is grieving, it's also the child part of them. Other deeper emotional, psychological ego states, if you will, that are part of them that has connected in sometimes a very powerful way with the now departed party. A good example of this is a client I had many years ago who went through a divorce, and it was a friendly divorce, as he explained to me, growing apart kind of situation, but nonetheless very sad for both of them. He drove his soon to be ex wife out of state and got her set up living somewhere else where she was moving to. Came back to the Boise area and was home for the first time as a newly single person in many years. He described going to the grocery store and said that as he was walking through pushing the basket, that he would see things that reminded him of her. Maybe something as simple as the brand of something she would purchase. And he said he was it was all he could do to keep from sobbing through all of the aisles of the store. There was just one thing after another after another. And when he got to the checkout stand, he was amazed because he looked down and saw in his basket things like popsicles, chocolate milk, cocoa, cookies, cereal, children's food, and kids' comfort food, to be more specific. He said he thought he had the wrong basket because he didn't remember putting any of those things in his basket. And then he recognized other things that he had definitely recalled putting into to his cart. So he realized that that little boy in him was very much in the forefront and very aware of this huge change and was looking for a way to comfort himself. That's a good and always remained for me a powerful example of this additional level of loss. So when you're working with clients or you're dealing with your own loss and grief of one sort or another, keep in mind that the loss is happening in many different ways within that individual. And you may want to help them explore that at the appropriate time. Often, this is one of the reasons that grief continues longer than the individual seeking help thinks maybe it should. Whatever that is, as there's certainly no magic number there. But it can be that these underlying aspects of loss were never addressed, especially in a person who has either never heard of, recognized, or accepted the idea of a child aspect within themselves, for example. So, something to be aware of, something to consider as we look at the different types of loss that may be a little more hidden, a little less obvious.